Right, so I'm recording a video even though I've got one to upload, and the purpose of this video is sort of random, but it's like a get to know me sort of video kind of thing. Because you can watch a lot of my videos and get a sense of who I am, basically, and sort of things that I like. And the three things that I mostly like well, four if you include TV programs, because I've always banged on about certain TV programs that I watch on television and things like that. But taking that aside, my three favourite things that I like to do in the world or have connections to is number one, music. Anything basically related to music, whether I'm listening to it, whether I'm basically collecting it, whether I'm going to see live music or playing it on radios and things like that. That's number one. Number two, football, because it's not so much playing it, but more or less watching it. I do collect some things to do with football, like depending on what they are. Like sometimes I have a few football programs, or basically I might buy something like a book that is representative of football. And of course, I do have my football shirts that I do wear, as you'll often see in many of my blogs. And number three, darts, which again, I watch a lot of darts. I follow a lot of darts. I basically sometimes I have a few books relating to darts and football. Again, I follow them basically, so I do support football teams and follow dart players. But this one is more or less to do with in the way of we all have hobbies and things like that. It's not about what I hate. I'm not gonna put that in, but it's about certain things that I like and something that maybe people don't know that I actually like and have sort of like an interest in, or at least would be interested in if it come up into conversation. And I've listed one, two, three, four, five things here. Now, the first one is books. Now, I'm not the biggest reader of books, but I do like to read books. Now, they don't have to be connected to anything like encyclopedias or musical based books, but autobiographies. I do read autobiographies. That's what I like to read. Basically, they always interest me if it's somebody that I like, specifically in music and possibly in other forms. Like if it's somebody I like, basically I would read their autobiography because it would be interesting to read. That kind of thing. So I like that. I love, or should I say, I like going to museums. I don't go to a lot of them, but I do like to, specifically if they're free. But depending on what the museum is all about, the ones I've listed is basically food museums. Now, I'm not saying we get a lot of them, but food museums, like for instance, I'd be interested in going to say a chocolate museum where you might have the whole history of chocolate there, like Cadbury's chocolate and things like that, where I could basically go around and look at the history of that and see various things that they put into the museum. Specifically, music museums will always interest me. There are many in America. I've been to a few in America, and they've been really good. And sporty type of museums, like the one in Manchester, which is a national football museum, which I loved, and it was better than I ever expected and thought. So I like that. I like stand-up comedy, which is it's brilliant. Stand-up comedy, brilliant, and I don't necessarily see a lot of it, specifically live, but I do watch on television, and sometimes I've got a few DVDs that I've managed to buy of some stand-up comedians that I basically like. It's hard to pick my favourite ones. I've probably mentioned some comedians before on blogs and that kind of thing. So it's something there that needs to be thought about. But one subject I'm going to end off with, something that I like, but I don't do this because I haven't got no space basically in my house. Basically, I don't personally own this house. My mum and dad do, but basically there's no room in this one or this house to do what I'm going to be explaining to end off with, and that is model railways. Yes, it's a very random thing. I do actually like model railways. I think they're so fascinating that you can get the little world of miniature railways. Now, I do have my old train set. It's very much Hornby, and I have many of accessories there. And I've always thought I'd love to have a setup of a model railway. But there's only one problem. When I want to set up a model railway, I don't want it to be small. I have this idea that I want my model railway to be quite big and grand. You know, like there's been videos and there's been things that have been set up throughout the world where people have like, you go to Germany, got like the world's biggest railway, model railway, and it's just absolutely fascinating. The reason for me, and specifically model railways, and to have it like a grand thing, is because I don't think model railways are a representation of what they can be. Because the problem is somebody has a setup, right, and they have a setup where it's basically you've probably got a railway track going around like that or whatever it basically is, but it's only one. It's very likely only going to be one sort of railway station, and within that, somebody can build the scenery, but as a small village or a small town, and it's not representative, in my opinion, going from town to town. So I like to think that if I ever had the chance to basically have a big setup and build, I would like to build sceneries and build things where it could be basically, uh, you know, making maybe your own film out of it. You know, using the trains and the people as basically part of the film. And the idea is to go from town to town. So I would like to have a setup where I could have two railway stations, one for one town and one for another, and possibly so that it would be so it put apart. So it'd be like a realistic thing, like you do when you go into the real world, where you go from town to town by train. Possibly in the middle of it, I could build a little village or something of what it could always be. But I do like the idea of making basically things. And the thing is, I know model railways can't always be that big and grand, but it's also not as realistic where you have, you know, like when somebody creates a town and they put like a row of shops, and you've got a row of shops with about six. You know, somebody will say this is like what they've done. They've put and they've got like Hornby do some kit things that you can build up, and basically you'll get things like where somebody got these, and what they've done is they've made a sort of street, right? And on that street you've got the bank, you've got a pub, you've got a post office, and then you've probably got like three shops, which is a grocery and something else and something else. It's not very much of a town environment if that's all you've got, and they say, oh, that's a town centre where there's only like five shops and a pub. Really? I know it's not easy, but I want it to be grand. I'd want it to be grand. I would want to know that if I was going to do something basically like a town, mine would be realistically, I'd like it to be bigger. So that when you do get the town centre bit, which is where you put near the train station, is I'd like it to be something like on the scenery where there's more than one road. So I could have one Pacific High Street, and then I could have scenery going off or roads going off that high street into another one, and have something like 50 odd, 60 odd kits being built, which is basically of the shops, just like a real town, like a real town. I would like to say city, but that would be going a bit grand because towns can be smaller rather than a city. A city would be grand and that kind of thing. But yeah, I do like model railways, and I specifically don't have room in the house to basically build one. But if if it was something that I could probably do, I would do that. You know, I'd get involved a little bit maybe, but I suppose it's not too much of a problem that I don't have the room in the house because I do take up um a lot of time with music and things like that. But just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of some of the other things that I like as well. But I may well do another blog like this in the future. The possibility of get to know me tag where you've got questions. You'll get questions. People can send me questions if they want. Basically, simple questions. You know, you get some of these get to know me tags where it's got something like what is your age, and they have a series of questions like star signs and all kinds of basic questions that people write down. You know, what is your favourite colour, and all these questions. Basically, all random if they want, and if they want to think of questions that I would ask, and I could answer them basically, or they want to give me ideas for what I can talk about, then so be it. But until then, I've got other blogs to upload, and then I will have to upload this one as they get uploaded in sequence of when I basically do them. But until then, bye for now.